Hello, my cyber babies. I hope that you all are doing well. And those of you who are on the protest encampments on our college campuses around the country, and it's it's the same old story. How Mr. Kennedy? That's Mr.
Well,
Kennedy.
it's not the
I
same old
mean, you
story.
think when I say the same story, I mean, they've been fighting Israel. People have been saying Israel doesn't have the right to exist. Israel is saying that the Palestinians don't have a right to exist. I mean, it's been going on for centuries. And why they keep putting this poison into each other, into the next generation and the next generation? What Rodney King said, can't we all get along? And why is it that these two groups of people aren't they like kind of related, Israel and the Palestinians?
Well,
Sort of, kind of. Well, we all 6 degrees separated, so
okay, well, so
yeah,
then we all related in some kind of way.
yeah.
But the biggest thing comes is that if you really want lasting peace, then you have to be fair to both sides. And I mean, and people always don't want to hear
They want to
be
pick
fair
sides.
to both sides. I mean,
And what is fair for both sides?
okay, they allow both sides to live. That's what's fair.
To exist?
To
I mean,
exist.
that ain't even their call, is it? Isn't it the call of God who lives and who doesn't live?
Okay,
And we all gonna die.
First of all,
Okay, let me calm down.
we're talking about if you have a right to exist. Okay, if you're a Palestinian, you have just as much right to be on this planet as any other human being.
Exactly.
Okay.
Same thing with our friends in Israel.
As Israelis, you have every right to exist on this planet as anybody else. Nobody has the right. I mean, if we finally get above ourselves and realize that
get out of our own way. Mm-hmm.
They say everybody has the right to live. Everybody should be allowed to live. I mean, we're only going to be here for a moment in time anyway. The fact that you're hastening someone's departure because you say, well, this is what I was told growing up. This is what I've been told my whole life. Mm-hmm. It does not always mean that it's correct because you've been told that your whole life. We as Americans has always been told to hate communists. Okay, communists is
they hated our ancestors when they drug them over here.
Okay, but I'll mention one at what I'm saying. When you tell somebody to hate somebody, okay, we were
when
told
you
to
teach somebody to hate somebody.
As kids growing up during the Cold War, we were always told to hate the Russians, to hate communists. As though just to mention the word that somebody was in the Communist Party, that they had to be our moral enemy. You didn't even have to know them and had to already dislike them.
That's the same thing when they said about all the wars. You know, we got Muhammad Ali, God rest his soul, said, Allah rest his soul. He said, why would I want to go to fight the Viet Cong? They ain't never called me no nasty name. They ain't never wanted to see me starve to death. I'm not going to do it. And he stood his ground. He had every right to do that. And these kids have every right to protest. And what are they protesting? They're protesting Israel, the companies around the universities to divest in Israel. So these are all pro-Palestinian students. Then you got the Jewish students over here. You all in America. I thought that was the whole point of y'all coming to America. So you could live free, you could worship like you wanted to worship, you could go to school and make a better path for you than your parents had. Now you still mad about something that jumped off hundreds of years ago. So now you're pissed off. The pro-Palestinians are pissed off at the Israelis, and the Israelis are pissed off at the people on the Gaza Strip, and it's a little strip of land on both of them, and they out here tearing up stuff. And the presidents of the schools, they say you got until 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to break this encampment down.
But that's on certain campuses.
Right.
Not
well,
all
in
campuses.
Columbia, they're over there arresting them now. They got the National Guard and the people in flak jackets and everything sitting over there. They arresting protesters. Don't we still have the right for free speech, the freedom to protest peacefully? They didn't go out there and get all violent. They didn't start getting violent and, doing all this crazy stuff until the authorities got involved. All they were saying is, will you just divest? And I'm like, why would no? I know it's a whole bunch of stuff, but and it's another thing. Where do you come off telling a company, an organization, a school who they can invest in and who they cannot invest in because you disagree with it?
Wait a minute, no, you should, because but part of this is that if you allow one person to harm another and sit back and just turn your head and say, well, you can't tell me whether I should help
who I can write.
And you harming somebody else because your dollars, your tax dollars, help pay for that school, have paid the salaries. So
Right.
yes, you do have
a right to protest.
to mention what you feel is right or what you feel is
That's
wrong.
that's how they got rid of. That's how apartheid was eliminated, because they stuck to it.
Okay,
They protested.
You have people say they should have done that.
They were they
okay.
gonna
So,
look. You got people over in the United States saying the worst thing Lincoln ever did was free the slaves. You know, how you just gonna go up in a hierarchy? We got our foot on your neck, and we tell you how far you can go. We tell you where you can live. We tell you where you can worship. We tell them who can be your friends and who cannot be your friends. I got friends that are Palestinian. I got people who are from Israel, who are Jewish people. I got people that in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Hi, my brothers and sisters who made me an honorary member of their community. And it's about being able to sit down peacefully and agree to disagree.
Well,
if that's what you do.
Most of this comes simply from a fact of not knowing somebody else and being told
and that culture
to hate somebody, to not just trust someone because you don't even know them. If you took the time to get to know them, then a lot of people would not end up hating these people that they were told they should have been hating all their life. But you don't get that chance
because you want to stay in this one little box. You want to stay in this little box right here. You know, you don't keep your head on a swivel. You don't see what other people are doing. That's why it's so important to travel. And with the advent of the internet, I mean, when I get up and I turn on my computer, I could be in Istanbul, I could be in Paris, I could be wherever. And these are places that I want to go. And I could not imagine not having seen part of the world. We're not going to see all of it. It's like living in California. You will never be able to see everything in the state of California that you want to see in your lifetime. So travel, go and see them, make friends, from a different culture. Even though a lot of them might not agree with it, a lot of them will find out that their guardians, their parents, their relatives, their grandparents told them about, whomever they told them about, and you got to hate them because I'm telling you, I hate them. But mama, they never did anything to me.
Well, that's how you get change. You
protest.
Not only to protest, is that as you become more educated, then you can see past what you've been told and say, wait a minute, as I get my own thoughts. If someone like my father used to tell us that we were never going to travel. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to travel because I wanted to see what the experience would be like to travel, what the experience would be like for me to see other people and go to other places on my own and form my own thoughts and opinions about the people that I met, the places that I went to, whether I liked it, didn't like it.
College was that refuge for me. Even though, this is not to toot my own horn, but this is to toot my own horn. I had to go to school 6 days a week. I had a private tutor on Saturday, and it was a full school day. It was from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. So I got the opportunity to be able to go to concerts at Severance Hall, to go to the symphony. I found out I loved the symphony. Remember, we used to go on field trips, and everybody was there. It would be schools from off the west side and off the east side, and, our Polish friends and our, Armenian friends. We were all there enjoying the music, enjoying the symphony. And I met these, I told you about this, I met these older women who were like patrons of Severance Hall, where they could run things at Severance Hall. And so I would go to, and they would break them down and have like these, they might have a string group, they come and play, and they might have a percussion group, they come and play. And this is when I found out that a piano is in the percussion family. So anyway, I was able to be exposed to all these different thoughts, to different cultures, to different ways that, people spoke to each other. And I found out I liked everybody.
More of us would like more of other people if we had a chance to get to know other people.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest barrier is always fear and hate. I tell you to fear somebody that you don't even know. I tell you to hate somebody that you don't even know. And because you're older than me, I believe that you're wiser, and that I start believing the things that you tell me as to be the gospel, whether it's the gospel or not. The gospel is that if you should learn for yourself about these people.
And about yourself.
Knowledge is the key to ending racism, sexism, all the barriers, all the isms that are out there. if people just finally stopped and got to know you,
Mhm.
because to know you most of the time is to love you, because they actually got to know you
Right.
for you, not what I was told about you. When someone said that you that and simply because of the color of your skin, you're evil.
Mhm.
Well, if you believe that before,
Or you're not
you
really
know,
a full human being. Remember, they used to sell our
whatever.
ancestors at 3/5.
Okay, they sold a lot of people
Well, yeah,
ancestors.
right, and
I
it
mean,
wasn't just black people.
so you know,
That was more
okay,
racism.
it was called slavery, no matter where it was on this planet,
Mhm.
because slavery didn't start just with black people coming to America.
No,
I mean, that's
slavery was in Africa. They was trading
What-
people for
okay. They
goods
was
and
trading
stuff.
people
Right.
in China and
Right,
in
that-
Europe,
right.
everywhere. That is not something that's unique to only the black folks.
No.
Black folks, you identify with it because that was your journey coming here to America.
Right.
But slavery and people being slaves by other being enslaved by other men when they conquered different groups is something that has always happened on this planet.
Right.
That's not anything new. That's why I say the more you know, you will change your thoughts and your opinions about a lot of things if you get to know more history.
And we know,
that a lot, almost all of us have, all groups have almost suffered the
same demise
at the hand of another person, whether it be just the person that looked just like them or person that looked like somebody else.
Mhm.
The fact that we impose our will on someone else and then say, well, if I'm doing it, it makes it right because I'm doing it. Does it make it simply right because you're doing it?
No. And just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Correct.
And
I mean, that's why people, they change the laws to tell people that I mean, even people who believe
and they
that
amend
you
the
should
laws.
have interracial marriage. Now, who are you to tell
Somebody who they gonna
who they should be able to love? No,
and what was so
nobody told you women. Nobody told you who to love.
Oh,
but then you feel like you had a right to tell somebody else who they should be able to love.
Okay, and that's gone on
forever. Small-minded people saying that I want to control not just my world, I want to control your world as well, and tell you who you can like or not like,
and what you can do or what you cannot do with your body. I mean, control. That's what people want. That's what
it's all about control.
They're all about control, and everybody wants to rule the world. And then you get it slapped up in your face. Going back to your point about interracial marriages that were not supposed to happen, there was a couple, interracial couple. The husband was Caucasian. The wife was she was black. And they looked like they couldn't pass for anything else but who they were, and they were in love with it, and they loved each other. And when the state that they were living in wanted to arrest her for sleeping with a white man, he said, "What are you talking about? This is my wife." Oh, y'all, this cannot happen. And what was so cool, he and his wife, they persevered and they got them to change the interracial laws and to take that off
and that state.
Yeah. But it happened. But it went across the country.
Okay,
laws, but this is the point I want to
change laws because you find out some of the things that you were doing were wrong when you really stopped and looked.
And that's what he said. He said, I didn't know I was gonna fall in love with her. I didn't know she was gonna love me. And they did. But this is the ironic part about this couple. Their last name is Loving. Now, you can't break that. There was no getting past when your last name is Loving and you marry somebody that you love. You know, you'll go to the wall for them, and they went all the way up and got it overturned and said, you know what, that just doesn't make any sense. And some of the law, and I want to say this about the Constitution. That's what man wrote for us for our guidance and direction for a new country. And I was watching this lady the other day that one of the CNN reporters was talking to her, and she was telling him how the 45th need to get back in office because he's been the best president ever in the world, and God said so in the Constitution. Okay, Google it, people. Google it and find out where God said anything toward the American Constitution, where it's in the Constitution. People are so misinformed. And I think that is one of our biggest issues. You know, when you don't know how another culture is going to behave, when you don't know how another person is going to behave toward you, what they think, you know, we go out here every day and trust other people. We trust people to drive safely. We trust people to not drink and drive and be under the influence of drugs and or alcohol. You know, we pray. I mean, I never would have thought, this is going back to, we were told to hate the Russians. The biggest thing we did when we were kids about the Russians, what did they teach us how to do in elementary school?
Run in the hallway and cover your head, because we talked about a nuclear weapons and a nuclear explosion happening and the radiation fallout and how to protect yourself. When in reality, if a nuclear bomb exploded close to you, you weren't going to save yourself
anyway
with the steps that they were asking you to take.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just to give you a sense of security, to tell you that. I mean, instead of us looking to want to harm one another, if we honestly spent more time trying to love one another, the planet will be far better off. It's the fact that we keep choosing to build the barriers to keep one another separated and apart, because that we keep thinking that that's the best way to go about life,
and thinking that's control, and that's what they want. They want to control everything.
Wants to rule the world.
Everybody wants to rule the world, and it's not gonna be that. That's why you hold on to the resources, and you want to fight other parts of the world because they got more resources than you do, and you can't have more than. I don't understand the angst that people are having and the vehemency, and why wouldn't the universities be willing? That wasn't me.
Be willing to do what? No, I just
would be willing to listen. To listen to the students about what they think about. What is the real deal? You want the schools and the universities to divest in Israel, investing in Israel.
Okay, no, divest. Okay,
divest. They don't want them to have. They want spending the money over there.
Okay, if you think about it, it's the same thing we did when we boycotted South Africa. To get rid of apartheid.
They divested.
But it took people
years
a conscious awareness to become clear.
Right.
They said, wait a minute, what was happening to them was wrong, was simply wrong. And the only way you fix that is that you stand up and say something. We told our government, we want you to diverse and don't be supporting the South Africans who are mistreating the other South Africans in their own country. That until they change their ways, then we shouldn't be giving them
any money.
Okay, well that's no different. That's no different than what they're asking right now of the state of Israel. They're not saying they want to get rid of Israel, because South Africa is still exists. It's not talking about getting rid of Palestine or the Palestinians. It's talking about allowing them both to live
and exist peacefully.
And exist. They're gonna be next to one another because that's the little bit of land that they all happen to be on. So,
and it's not a lot of land. When you could put 1.3 million people in the south of the Gaza Strip, and the Gaza Strip is not that big, not that long.
Okay, but in the 6th block area, they had 1 million people in Harlem. So it's not that you can't.
I didn't say you couldn't do it, but that's a lot of people to have in one area.
The fact that you still want to, we're trying to get people to get the rise above themselves and stop with the hatred, because you can't nobody can end up having peace if there's always somebody hating. That's why I say you have to make peace to allow generations that come after you not to have to deal with violence, not always be looking over their shoulder, worrying about if they will be shot at, if a suicide bomber will walk into this place and blow everybody up.
When they started with the school shootings at Columbine, and then the subsequent multiple thousands of school shootings, I never would have thought school would not be a safe place for children, to go and learn. Then when they start, being lax with the curriculum, and they started overcrowding schools, and they started not giving updated material in certain areas for people to learn. And they read it, and now you got the internet. You could look up other people's culture. You can see who interests you.
But that's education. That's all being educated. You don't know.
That's why some of the people in the Middle East don't want the women to go to school, or in Africa.
Yes, because the less you know, the less you can ask for or expect to have happen, good or bad, on your behalf. It's like, if you don't know, it can't hurt you because you didn't know that you were being deprived of something. If you didn't know that you were being deprived.
They're stripping these kids' clothes off. They're arresting them.
But it's, we're really, where this protest will go is nobody counting those, because one of the things that's about to happen is the end of the school year at most college campuses.
My graduation. What about finals? Excuse me, finals are coming up.
Well,
you spent all this money, and I get the protest. Don't get me wrong. I get you have the right, especially in the United States, you have the right to peacefully protest. You got to look at the big picture too.
Well, I mean,
you can get more flies with honey than you can with
big
vinegar.
Picture is that you make peace so that nobody has to keep dying, no matter what group you happen to be in. That's to me, that is the big picture, that everybody can live, that everybody child has a chance to grow up without fear, without being starved, without being oppressed. That's the ultimate outcome. What will happen, I mean, in the next few weeks on college campuses is that finals are coming. I mean, people have invested a lot of time and effort and money and to coming up to being close to graduation, that you would lose all of that would be derailed because of these protests. And will these protests pick up again in the fall?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the war is still going on over there, will these protests continue into the fall when kids come back to campus after going home for summer break?
And the Prime Minister Netanyahu is saying that the kids, they this is not gonna, we're not really after the Palestinians. We're trying to destroy Hamas, and since Hamas is using Palestinians as their human shields and their children, and they're hiding amongst people who are already going through all kind of different situations, then when they show the pictures of the destruction and the buildings coming down.
But that's the point that I make about, okay, you can't change that. I mean, see, this is the whole thing, even like with World War II, World War I, any war that's been anywhere on the planet, after the war is when the real healing starts. It's because you got to rebuild what was torn up. But also in rebuilding what was torn up, you also rebuilding the lives of the people that were hurt and injured doing this. And unfortunately, you need generations of people to grow up. Okay, they're saying, okay, my dad or my grandfather, they fought in the war.
Mm-hmm.
But now I've grown up and I don't have to go fight. Mm-hmm. So then I'm starting to think differently than they thought, because I didn't have to actually go fight. Then my son and my daughter, they're growing up now and they don't have to fight. They don't have to go to the military, So it gives you a different perspective, and that's what you want people to have.
And we need our military. We
I'm
need
not
our military.
I didn't say not to have military. I said to fight. I'm not saying now everybody can have and should have a military if they choose.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm suggesting is that you grow up in peace, though. Yes, you can have a standing army, but if we're not fighting one another, then you grow up thinking differently. Yeah. Your child will grow up thinking differently because they're not under that same, I'm worried about a bomb exploding. I'm worried about this person. I mean, that fear that causes anger
mm-hmm.
and it causes hatred.
Because they don't know. And you know what fear stands for? False evidence appearing real. And they could give you all kind of put all kind of rhetoric out there. Who are you going to listen to? You got to first start listening to yourself and read and understand what you're reading.
Comprehension, but the main thing is reading and comprehension. I know, observing. That's what I tell you about teaching morals and scruples in school. If you don't teach somebody to have morals, so they understand truly what morals are, not saying, okay, I'm hoping that your mother or your father would teach you morals and scruples, despite what they're doing, how busy they may be, not be, if the father's not in the house, if the mother's not in the house, whatever situation we have over half the families and are now are single family people, over half the country.
Single parent
live
family.
with a single family parent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a totally new dynamic than it was when we were growing up, when the majority of the people were in intact families.
Right.
No matter what condition you were in, whether you were rich, poor,
and we also had
all the family.
We also had a safety net inside of our families and our communities. Husbands were going off to war and leaving the wives at home with the children. And we saw them, I saw them when the Vietnam War was going on, because everybody hated that war. It just made not everybody. Well, they made a lot of money off the Vietnam War.
Not everybody hated it.
Well, no, the ones that were making money off
because
of it.
You had politicians
right,
who were saying that this was the right thing for the country to do at that time. So you were telling the country as a whole that this was the right thing for us to do. Well, what's the lies? Oh, it actually wasn't lies as much as we stopped and started looking at, we're over here fighting But there's no
But for
real
what?
reason. Well, what are we trying to accomplish?
Right.
Because we're saying communists can't win.
Right.
Okay.
That's it. That's all you got.
So we're killing our people in Vietnam because we're saying, okay, wait a minute. You have the North and you have the South. The
and
South,
aren't they still divided?
Yes, they're still divided even to today. But once again, though, it's about their cousins. They're all like Korean. Because you live in North Korea, you know, Koreans, North Korea or South Korea.
Vietnamese. Okay. You talking about? Okay. We talking about North, East. We talking about Vietnam.
Okay,
not
Vietnam,
Korea.
Okay, Vietnam. Okay, once they were under communist rule.
Right.
That's why we were fighting them, saying that it was evil. Communist was evil, and so we want to free you and say, well, if we liberated you from being under communist rule. And showed you what it is to live under our rule, then
you like us better.
You'll like us better, and you'll like yourself better because you'll be able to make your own decision without the government interfering with what you will like to do. How you want to raise your family.
Left Vietnam behind that. One of my dear friends, her family's from Vietnam, and they got out. They got, they said that they escaped with what they had on their backs, and they made their way to the United States. And so she had an older mother. And she looked good. You could not tell that. Her skin was flawless. I don't want to get sidetracked. So they wanted to take their kids because the kids were born here in America.
Okay.
And she and her husband and her family, they went through the proper channels to become American citizens.
Okay.
And so what was funny is we were talking about faith and religion one day. She said, and they and most of them, all the ones that I've been into, they have a shrine to Buddha.
Okay.
And so I was asking her to, what she would explain,
Yes.
And so she said, "Oh, I don't know about that. I'm Catholic." My assumption was everybody, and you don't make assumptions about it. She kept it in there because a lot of the people that she owned her own business, and a lot of her customers and some of her workers, they worship Buddha. And so she was like, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Christian. So anyway, they got together, and when her kids got big enough, because she had a bunch of kids, when their kids got big enough, they had saved enough money they were gonna take the whole family back to Vietnam just so they could see where,
their roots.
They wanted to see their roots. Okay, and they were just all excited. And when the mother got it, when the grandmother, they start telling the grandmother about, they was planning this trip, and the girls wanted to go and woo. She said, "Okay, Mom, what do you want to do? You want to go see your sister?" She said, "Next time I see my sisters and brothers, it'll be on American soil." She said, "I'm never going back to Vietnam," because she had such a horrific time
when she was there.
Okay, but wait a minute, it wasn't funny, but the kids saw where they were from, they saw their history, and when they were coming back, they came and they said, "We don't ever have to go back to Vietnam ever."
But hopefully that's not everybody.
Right.
Because
I've never been to Africa, and I would live in Africa.
The fact that they didn't have a good time that particular trip. To write off everybody in Vietnam?
No, not at all.
Okay, no, that's all I'm saying. To write off everybody, all Vietnamese that live in Vietnam because you went over there one time, and maybe because you weren't mature enough to handle making that trip. Maybe it wasn't the right age or appropriate time for you, where your mind was open enough to be willing to say, "Wait a minute, this is where my parents started. This is my grandparents started. Okay, I started in America. Okay, I had no choice that I started in America because of my parents had still been in Vietnam. I'd have started off in Vietnam. As a child, you do not have any say-so about what's going to happen. And once you become an adult, hopefully you will be able then to choose your path forward and where you want to go. And that's why I talk about opening up and people becoming far more liberal-minded when they get a chance to truly see that everybody just wants to raise a family. Most of us, not okay. Yes, I know there are exceptions. I do know there's exceptions, but the majority of us want to raise a family. We want the family to be safe. We want to be safe. We want the community around us.
We don't want to be scared to go to church, go to the grocery store, go to school, and it's just getting horrific. You know,
but that's also because of the time, about the times we find ourselves in when you have a lot more have-nots. But what do we do to help the have-nots so that they don't continue to prey upon you? Because I'm a have-not. If I see you going to work and I live across the street from you and I know that you go to work every day, okay, I can end up having all kind of evil thoughts because you're doing something positive that I wish I might have been able to do. Or not,
and that's the part I don't get. If if
jealousy is a part of it.
Oh, and envy, and I'm like, what are you envious of? You can do the very same thing I'm doing. You could go into the very same job. I have a couple of chicks that I grew up with. When I was, doing my thing, and I told you that one of my girlfriends, her mother told me I wasn't gonna ever amount to anything, and I was like, I don't think she don't even know who she talking about.
But you had bigger ambitions than she thought, because her mentality was maybe
this is as far as I could go.
We're gonna be in this 10-mile block, 30-mile area, and that's it. Well, if you only think that, but then people who venture out are the ones who usually end up make the inventions, make the things that changes the world, because they're not content to say, I grew up here and I don't want to see nothing.
And I don't want to.
But these 25 miles, the 25 mile
25 miles. I knew some of them didn't even want to go out the house. Because they were, and I kept saying, why don't y'all want to come outside? It's too many evil people out there. I'm like, do you know all the evil people out there? What about the good people? Do you know anybody good? One of the things that it just really gets to me is when people want to say, I don't know why you traveling all over the world. I'm like, well, why not? Why shouldn't I? Then they thought we was crazy when we went to China.
But it was a great experience to see somebody else and not have to base everything that you know about China on hearsay.
Right.
Because it's easy for people to hearsay and tell you, well, this is like that is like that, this person's like that, this country is like that.
We have that going on every single day in the United States.
If you meet people from different cultures, from different backgrounds, and you get a chance to talk to them, a lot of times you find out that things are not that different. That we all, a lot of us watch the exact same TV. It's not amazing. I mean, when you have 18 million, the 30 million, 200 million people who watch all the same program, the Super Bowl, the more people that watch the most recent Super Bowl, the people who watch the NCAA basketball,
and then the girls team was beast.
So you're changing how people perceive girls and playing sports, because now you had a woman who was a star.
A bunch of them was. Speaking of women, star basketball players.
I mean, right. She was the star this year that helped.
You talking about Caitlin?
Yes.
Who just
propel women's sports, but by leap years. But it took her, that special person.
And it took the first time they formed the WNBA, because there were so many high school and college players, they were out there, killing them. And then when they said, well, maybe we should, put a women's basketball team together. And then when they did, it was people that are just.
But it took a long time.
Let me just say this. Congratulations, Candace Parker, on your retirement. So now, and your career, illustrious career, the footprints that you put down, what's her name?
Because she was the first woman to dunk a basketball. Oh, okay. The fact that, you made history by doing that. So you had a lot of young ladies that looked up to you now and said, wow.
Caitlin was one of them.
You did something that I didn't think that a girl could do, that a woman could do, that be able to dunk a basketball. So you have inspired millions and million girls now to want to play basketball. I mean,
and to want to get involved in sports.
Our latest phenom, with the tournament that brought millions of more viewers.
Oh my God!
Millions of more viewers to decide watching and paying attention and say, "Wow, women's basketball is not that bad."
Wait a minute.
Not actually, when I get
it's actually
the stereotype.
It's absolutely
that
profitable.
It's just girls. You have a lot of times you have to get past the stereotype.
Right.
That it's just girls playing. When you got a chance to actually to see them play, you're like, wow, and they can actually really play
and play at a professional level.
That changed how you look and how you think about it.
Let me tell you what changed me about it. Okay. Because I was not big in sports in school. My greatest accolade in going to gym class is I could climb up the rope faster than everybody else, and I could come down without burning my hands. And it was just the way you held the rope and your momentum. That's about all I could do. If you saw me run, you better look behind me and see if somebody chasing me, because I'm the only place I'm running to and from the bathroom, to and from my car, to watch these women grow and in their college life, their high school life, their college life. Okay. Oh my goodness, we just having us a good old time. We'll come back to that part later. Okay. Please, I want the students to be safe.
Everybody to be safe. Students, non-students, and people are coming up, because if you're talking about, hopefully you're talking about saving lives, no matter what side of the fence you happen to be on. That we want to simply save.
We're only going to be here for a moment. Let us live in peace. Let us live in harmony, because we can do it. And we've seen it around the world. And you might, if you want to rule the world, why not rule the world with a positive way? Don't just be trying to wipe people off the face of the planet. We're gonna be wiped off the planet anyway. You could live to be 100 years old, and you might not make it to 101. So now everybody's gonna go. We hate to see them go. That's a human thing. We need to make sure that our stuff is right, that we're together, that we're in committed relationships, and we're just not all over the place, with our thoughts and our, what we're doing. Just, get somebody or get with somebody who's on the same page with you, so, you can grow together. And speaking of this, what about was a smooth transition. Go on, Mother Love. Talking about relationships. This is a word I had never heard of before. Okay. And I get it, but I never heard it before. Situationships. Yeah, situationships. For those of you who might not know what a situationship is, because I didn't know either. I had to go do me some research. So I read this article about this young lady, 32 years old. She was on a third date with a guy, and she met on a dating app called Hinge. Never heard of Hinge either. I'm also not in the dating world.
But it's a lot of sites.
I know. And so when she decided it was time to ask him a make or break question, the make or break question was, what are you looking for? And she said they had gone on some fun dates and everything was cool. And when she asked him that, he said, well, I just want to go with the flow. So that lets you know he's not in a committed relationship. He's in a situationship. And so I've heard of friends with bennies, friends with benefits. We used to be friends with benefits. We still friends with benefits. I'm just saying, and she was saying that she didn't know that she wanted to deal with that. I asked them, where do they want
to deal with what?
She didn't want to deal with just going with the flow. Okay, we've been doing this. We had a fun time. The sex is great, and all of that. But she was ready to go to the next level, to be in a committed relationship. And he was like, well, I just want to go with the flow. I just want to go. My shirt feel like it's falling off of me.
Because you're pulling it.
I know.
Okay, but
back to the story. And so she was like, okay, I'm not getting ready to set myself up for hurt, because this is the third time she was in a situationship. She was like, let me just cut this off and get out of it, before I get hurt again. I don't want to do what I don't want that. Oh. And she said it was like an epiphany for her. She's the founder of Single Girls Club. I'm gonna have her on the show. We could talk about this all day. It's a Los Angeles-based lifestyle brand that advocates for the empowerment of single women. And so now they got the situationships. And she said that she had been, when she was in her 20s, she had went through, several of these situationships. A term, this is what it means, a situationship. A term for a romantic or intimate connection that mirrors a relationship, but lacks commitment. And they cause a lot of confusion and pain, because when you don't know where you're going in a relationship, most of the time, if you're not all the time when you're not on the same page, you're not going to grow in that relationship. It's just not going to happen. And so I call it friendship. I call it friendship. Get to know, this is new. Get to know the person that you want to spend some time with.
But she was women. Now, in all fairness, they've been on
several days.
Mm-hmm. And she was thinking, okay, well, now on these dates, maybe we didn't talk about family, or maybe we didn't talk about our future.
Right.
We just had a good time because we were getting to know one another.
Right.
Okay, now that I'm getting to know you, and I'm thinking, well, hey, maybe you might be someone that I would want to have a long-term relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I do need to ask you that. I mean, and it's only fair and it's only right to ask somebody, okay, once you start getting to know them and you start having feelings, to know, wait a minute, is this a short-term affair or is this a long-term affair? That's a fair question to ask someone.
Right.
Because if you want to be married and settle down, and they still are not ready to settle down, it's best to know that. It's best to know that.
Right.
Well, it's not always say to move on immediately, because maybe they may grow into one to have to be married and have a long-term relationship with you. Because they're not at that point at that particular time does not mean that they won't get there. So you got to weigh things, and it's not always. There's always.
Well, she said she just
cut and dry.
She said I don't want to be in another one of these broken relationships, and so she said,
she brought it up. But the only point that I was making, I get her point completely. That okay, you said okay, this is our 5th, 6th date. Yeah, things are going great. I'm having a good time. You're having a good time.
Yeah,
but my ultimate goal. I want to have a family,
and you want to go from relationships and commitment.
I mean, but if you want a family, want true commitment, because if you just have it going on dates, I'm no more committed to you than you are committed to me. So that means I can see other people just like you can see other people.
And that's how he felt,
Okay, well, wait a minute.
Because he didn't want to make the commitment.
Okay,
she said, I started to like him. And so she asked him the question, and she said, I'm not going to do it.
I said it was the right thing to do because, wait a minute. If you're ready to say, okay, now I know we were single when we met, and you were seeing other people before you knew I existed. So like I was seeing other people before I knew you existed. Now that we're getting to know one another, okay, I see.
So you gotta weed out the riff. Shut up.
I want to see where my future may be with you, and if it's not to be in a committed relationship, I have to accept that you're not ready for a committed relationship right now. And if that's what I'm seeking for myself, then it is best for me to move on and look for somebody who wants to be
but sometimes when you move on from somebody who's ready to be committed to you, and then you're going out there and you think, well, maybe the grass is greener on this side, or maybe I could do this.
Well, you don't find out till you go out there, though, right?
Well, no, I knew what the deal was.
The point is, you don't.
You want to go find one better than me? Not ever, not then, not
even
ever.
like in this young lady here who said, okay. I'm thinking about I wanted to settle down. I mean, I like enough of what I've seen of him so far that I can see myself being with him, committed with him for the future.
But he just want to go with the flow. That's not a commitment. And that's what she said. When he told her to go with the flow.
But that was he did the right thing. Okay. If you're thinking one thing and I'm thinking another, it only makes good sense for me to know that you're thinking differently than I'm thinking.
How dareth you call me on
somebody
the phone?
Want to talk? Okay.
I don't know who those people are.
Okay, but then you just won't talk to them.
Can I hit the button? Okay, don't call from nobody.
Okay, but the fact that being upfront with somebody, like if you're in a relationship with somebody and you want to take it to the next level and you want to have a family, have kids. Okay, it makes common sense to ask that the person that you're with now, do you want to have kids? If that's not something that you want to do, then I know right now. And so if I want kids, then I should start looking to find somebody else who actually
who's understanding. And that's what she said.
And that's fair. And that was fair. What he said, no, he wasn't ready. It's wrong for him to have lied to her and looked in her face and said, okay, you say you ready to settle down? Well, I say I'm ready to settle down just because you asked me, but I'm still out there messing around. He was being honest by saying, okay, no, I'm not ready. And to me, it does not mean that the relationship has to end at that point.
Well, she said, she's been hurt 3 times, so she didn't want to do it again. I'm trying to
finish my thought. Okay, my thought is because he said, I'm not ready to settle down today. Well, that means that you're going to exit right immediately because he said, I'm not ready to settle down today. Maybe it may take him, another month, another 6 months, maybe another year before he really see the value in your relationship. Is it always I gotta draw the line in the sand?
Yeah, but you're saying it like
after a few dates, women.
Right. But you're saying it like she should have just stood around and waited till he got ready to be committed. instead of taking the risk of you being hurt again.
Once again,
because she said it always turns out bad.
Always, once again,
it's really hard.
If you say that it always turns out bad, then you're already looking for a bad outcome before you even got in the situation. So you went into it with the wrong thoughts. Every time you meet somebody new, if you hold a baggage from the person previously, then how's that fair to that person? You asking them to come and leave the baggage. You asking them to leave their baggage.
Right.
You say leave your baggage, and me and you get together so you may find out if I like you and if you like me.
Enough to take it to a more serious step in the relationship.
If you tell me that I'm not ready to be completely serious, does that mean did you exit right, or that mean you could be a lot more cautious with that person going forward if you want to find out if that's the right person? I mean, sometimes you can make a move too fast, and sometimes you can make it too slow. But the fact that there's no one way to say that, oh, she said, okay, I dated a few guys in the past, and they didn't want what I wanted. Okay,
that's where the situationship comes in, and she said, once you start, getting to know somebody, and
but then
when
she broke the conversation, you got to ask. Maybe those are questions you have to ask.
That's why she asked, "Where do you want this to go?" I said, "Wait a minute, this is a one for it's called a what did she say? She said that he told her, in other words, that he wasn't dating with intention like she was."
Okay, well, that's good to know, though.
Right. So move on.
He was honest enough to say, "This is not where I'm at." We don't know. In the follow up, is it if he told her, "Well, maybe I might get to where you are, but I'm not there at this moment." And if she is saying that you have to be right there at this moment now, or if not, I'm gone. She
said she had two options because she wanted, I don't see giving yourself away like that when they're not going for giving away your time when you and he share right. If you're not on the same page,
wait a minute, how would you get to know? Because I can look at you the first time I see you and say, I know everything that's going to happen before it happens. Okay, she said she was she'd been through several relationships. And how they ended up. So she didn't know before she started how those other relationships were going to end. She found out after she got to know
and started investing in it. And she said she had two options. She could have continued dating him and see where things went, or two, ended before anybody got hurt, before she got hurt.
More hurt because her feelings were deeper than his.
Right.
And so, I mean, not to say that his feelings would not have been hurt, because maybe his feelings would have been hurt that she stopped it right then.
Right.
And then see where it might have gone to. Because that's why I ask people all the time when they're in a relationship, okay, do you want to have kids? Well, if I wanted to have kids and you didn't, and I didn't tell you that, and we got married, and then you said, "Oh, I think it's time for us to start a family," and all the time I was been thinking, I don't want a family. Well, then why did I tell you that, or why didn't you ask me that before we got married?
See, that's where the friendship comes in. I honestly believe, and I know from experience, you have to if you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want to find out how that somebody is and how they are with other people. And, we sat down, I had many conversations about, the kind of person that you wanted to be in your life. And I was like, this is going to be like a hit and run. We're going to have some fun, and that's going to be it. Okay, moving on. Because I couldn't, and his brother told his parents I was the wildest chick on the yard.
Because she was.
No.
That was quite accurate.
Okay.
It was truly accurate. In every sense of the word of accurate. Yes, it was. And the fact that I still got to know you.
Yes.
I didn't say, okay, well, it's only based on one encounter. It's not based on two encounters. That, okay, I want to know what type of person you are. It's the same thing I tell our granddaughters and grandson. Get to know whoever you're with. I mean, you have to think about yourself.
Right.
And what do you want? Morals and scruples. Do you look for somebody that got morals and scruples? Because it's a far better chance that they'll treat you better in the long run than if you meet somebody who don't have morals and scruples and say, "Oh, well, that's all right." They really don't have to. But yes, they do. We have somebody who
hey, Kayla, she said, "Shalom, beloved mother, love, and Mr. Kennedy."
Shalom. Hey, I'm telling you, to get to know someone is
Right.
is the right way to go about any relationship,
and good or bad.
I mean,
because you can make friends with some bad people and want to get you in a bad situation. Because I learned the hard way.
I can always be your friend. I don't have to marry you.
Right.
See, it's a difference. I can know you and not marry you, and we could be friends. So it's no one set way to tell someone that they have to be or should be in order to be okay.
In a relationship, in a situation.
Because I mean,
do you think a lot of this has a lot to do with the dating apps? Because when I talk to my 20-something and 30-something, guys and girls that are in our circle, and they tell me all the time, the ladies will say, "Oh man, mother love, I want a husband like Uncle Brother. That's what people call him Uncle Brother. They like, I want a guy like that. We could just look at the way he looks at you, and I want somebody to look at me like that. And there were people all the way down. He ain't gonna marry you. You just might as well leave that alone. I said, you don't even know what kind of conversation.
But once again, see,
get out of our business.
As to get to know someone.
Right.
If you don't get to know a person, it's hard. That's what I tell our grandkids. That get to know. I mean, you're young. Okay, you can think. What is passion is not. True affection, because passion is one thing. Truly caring about you is another. Go to the person's house. See what kind of where they were raised, how they're raised. If you like to be neat and clean, if you go to that person's house and you see that they're nasty, then 9 out of 10 times, if you hook up with them, y'all might end up in a nasty house. Or
seen it happen or on a regular basis.
If they're a neat freak and you are not, I mean, it's that way for y'all two to mesh together to where it can be, semi clean, where it may not be as neat as one person may want it, but it's not as messy as the other.
I can tell you all from experience that was one of the many connections that we have, because we don't want to live. Look, we was poor. They told us we was poor, but we will not be nasty. You get them two pieces of dust to rub together, make sure they clean dust.
Well, that was the one thing I think out of
and we're both pretty neat.
We're both of us out of many things that I took from my mother was that when she as being a young man, when she used to say, "We may be poor, but we don't have to be nasty."
And we're gonna be
that you have that option. Now, that is an option that you
better
have.
Get that floor clean in the projects. I better come in. If I drop my barbecue on it and I'm gonna get down there and eat, I better not taste nothing crunchy. And I was like, why would you just throw your food deliberately on the floor?
But it was making a statement.
I mean, I understand it. I totally got it. She only did it one time. And it scared the bejesus out of us. We were like, okay.
Well, but then it was effective.
It was very effective.
I mean, that's what I said about getting to know the person that you're going to be involved with. Because if you don't want to know anything about them or their family, well, then you run into later on saying, oh, wow, if I just would have only went to his house and I would have knew this. If I only went to her house, I would have knew that. Mm-hmm. If I only would have got to know her family, and then would say, oh, wow, they do crazy things. Really? Why? Because that's who they are.
You used to bring your friends over to our house when we was teenagers, and you would tell them, "We're gonna see a show. You're gonna be thoroughly entertained." Now,
and they were.
And when the vibe is real high,
and they were thoroughly entertained. But it was the fact that I could accept that the fact that you were showing that.
Oh, y'all giving me hearts and flowers and kisses and love. Thank you, baby.
The fact that you want to get to know someone. I mean, it gets harder after you get out of high school. I think that's the case for most people, because once you get out of high school, because you've been around somebody continuously for 3 years or 4 years, depending on what's.
And I knew I wasn't doing nothing with them boys.
But then when you left that group, you ended up going to college, so you had a chance to meet up another set. If you don't go to college and you go right off to work, okay, the next group of people you meet are the people at your job.
Right.
Then either you get to know someone there on your job and may want to hook up with them and get married, or you go out socializing and you meet somebody and you start saying, okay, where's the trust factor comes in? How do I trust this person well enough to get to know them?
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know them prior to
Oh,
when
and
I
you know
first
there'll
met.
be people in your ear when you getting ready to we hook up, or what, you know, that's the term now. And that was like friends with benefits. We just there for the hookup, you know. We just there for the booty call. I'm glad it came up to be something else. You know, did you know? I was telling you about my young men and women that are in our circle, that the girls say it is just really, really hard out here, you know, to find somebody that you want to spend some time with, you know. And the dating apps, you know, they lie on their dating apps, put a picture of them when they was in high school. And
But
when you see
call
them,
morals and scruples, once again, know if the person got morals or scruples. Don't just assume that somebody has something that they don't have because you don't want to find out. If you want less hurt, less heartaches, if you're willing to ask, just like she asked a tough question. Okay, we've been on a few dates now. Okay, where will this go? Do you want to have a family?
Just want to go with the flow,
or you just want to always just be together? Well, if she wanted a family, well, then it makes sense to say, this is what I want. Mm-hmm. What do you want? If you tell me what you want and I tell you what I want, if those two don't match, well, then maybe it is time for me to move on, or time for you to move on. Don't waste your time if that's not something that you actually want.
That's what I'm saying. You know, and one of the ladies, she was saying, it is so hard out here. You get a guy and you just don't know what you're gonna get. There was a recent survey done by YouGov, which polled more than 1,000 U.S. adults, and it said that 39% of people had been in a situationship before, and of people between the ages of 18 to 34, the number increases to 50%. Half of them have been in situationships. In a 2022 report, Tinder declared situationships a top trend and reported a 49% increase in members adding the phrase to their bios, with young singles saying they prefer situationships as a way to develop a relationship with less pressure.
Because you don't want to be pressured right away.
I get it. I get it. Wait a minute.
Now, and
it's a new way of saying make friends.
Okay, no, it's also a new way to say to you, I don't want to have to put out
and pressure you.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't want to have to start having sex with you right away. If you really don't want to end up being with me later, right. I don't have to just give my body to you, and I know that you don't want to end up being with me later. You just said we're just having a good time now. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, having a good time now. But if I'm want a long-term relationship, so I ain't got to be just going from one person to the next, then I ask you up front, what do you really want? Mm-hmm. Tell me. I need to know. If you want a family, you don't want a family, you want to just be friends, you don't want to be friends, you want to have other people on the side. So if you be honest
and what
with me,
kind of relationship,
be honest with you know, then I know women. I may want that though. I may be willing to say, okay, just like you got friends on the side, I might want to have friends on the side. Until the two of you decide, well, I don't want other friends on the side. I just want you.
Not intimate friends on the side.
Sometimes it takes a while before you know that for sure.
Right.
And you have to be willing to acknowledge that, you know, when you get to know folks, because now with the internet and how you can, and all the stuff that you
and
can
got a dating app is called Hinge. They also said that 34% of Hinge users reported falling into a situationship in 2022. The app added a feature called dating intentions. So daters can indicate upfront what they're looking for in a life partner, short-term relationship. Are you figuring out my relationship goals? Tinder and Bumble offer a similar feature. So why does it seem like more people are getting in a situationship?
Because
one of them, they said the one answer is exhaustion.
I don't have the time. I'm so busy, work. I go out exercise. I'm trying to party. I mean, how do I fit you into my schedule? Your schedule, where it actually works by me fitting you in, and if you once you start truly caring about somebody, all these other side things disappear.
Exactly.
And
then speaking about disappearing, because we only got a couple seconds left. A doctor in Mexico went online, and he was, went up to the Cartier, the big and he found a pair of earrings, diamond earrings, and it was going to be 237,000. that it was going to cost.
Okay.
And so that was like $13,000 in American dollars.
Okay.
Well, it said on the website it was 237 pesos, which was $13
American money.
American money. And so he said, Cartier tried to say, okay, it was a typographical error, and we didn't mean that, and you should have known that it was going to be more than $13. He said, well, yeah, and what?
I should have known that.
Yeah.
Or you should have known.
They should have known
that you made a typographic. I mean, I'm not the one selling this.
Right.
You were. And I purchased it at the price that was listed.
Uh-huh.
It was a mistake on your part. Hopefully you didn't sell too many at that price.
Wait, and Cartier said, okay, well, we made a mistake, but we're going to send you a refund of your and send you a leather good. He said, no, I'm gonna go to court. I want to know why. You got to honor this. You have to. Remember when we got that Lincoln Continental? We had the same thing happen. They forgot the extra two. It's supposed to be $22,000. We got it for $12,000 out the door, and they was like, I can't believe we just let $10,000 walk out the door.
Well, they can be, because that is your responsibility.
Right. To have the right
when you're
price.
Advertising something for sale. No, that is correct. I mean, it's an honest
and it was
mistake.
A pair of diamond earrings.
It's an honest mistake, but hopefully those mistakes.
Same thing happened with me when I went to the outlet center. We were with the designer stuff. Y'all come out here. The Citadel is the bomb out here, and so I went into the perfume store, and I love the way that Donna Karan smells.
Okay.
Donna Karan, you'll know who.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I love this fragrance, her latest fragrance that had come out at the time, and it was in a keepsake bottle.
Okay.
They said when you go out, run out of the fragrance, just keep the bottle.
Okay.
And it was designed with a gold thing on it. Remember, I still got it.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I want this, and it said it was $20. It was supposed to be $200. And I said, nope, that say $20. Don't they say $20, honey? That say $20. And just like that guy, doctor in Mexico, he said, you have to honor this. He went and took him to court and said, this is what they tried to give me. And they said, no, you have to honor this.
It was a mistake. They will write it off. I mean, they won't go under.
I was just saying.
Hopefully not.
Sometimes
I don't want them to go under for that honest mistake. But yet still, it is a mistake. But we learned to be a person of your word. If you say you're going to do something, then do it.
Much love to you both. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. I'm glad you have a positive experience with my clothes falling off. This got to go in the thing. And remember this, baby, you can follow us on all the platforms. You can do all the platforms. It's over here somewhere. But just follow Mother Love. And remember, oh, wait a minute, my face stopped.
Don't say that just in the show.
Just in the show. Thank you very much. I hope you have a blessed day.